Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel InvisibleKing. In this video, we are going to learn 3 important rules of chess that you must know about the chess game. Before starting today's video, if you missed the last video and you don't know how to move chess pieces, please click on the I button and you will be able to watch and learn how to move chess pieces. Now let's discuss about today's topic. Today we are going to learn 3 important rules that you must know. Let's see the first important rule, which is castling. Castling is a special move that you can use only one time in the whole game. To use this rule, you need a king and the rook on the board. You already know that king can move only one step in all directions. But for this rule, king will go 2 squares towards the rook and rook will jump left side to the king, and this is what we call short side castling. Now you will ask me, is that possible to do castling on the left side of the board? So yes, it is possible. To do castling on the left side, you need to move your king 2 squares towards the rook and rook will jump right side to the king, and this is what we call long side castling. Remember, there are 2 types of castling, short side castling and the long side castling. Doesn't matter which side castling you are doing, the king will move only 2 steps and the rook will jump left or the right side to the king. It's depend on the situation. Now let's see some more conditions and the rule for the castling. Let's see the first condition for the castling. The first rule is, whenever you are doing castling, make sure you are using your king first and then you are moving your rook. Let's say I want to do short side castling, so I will move my king 2 steps first and then I will move my rook, and this is how I will do castling. If I am trying to do castling and if I played my rook first, then my king will not jump because the rule says that the king is supposed to move first and the rook will jump on the left side to the king. This is how we do castling. What if I want to do long side castling? So yes, we will follow the same rule. I will move my king first 2 square and the rook will jump right side to the king. Remember, rook is the piece who is jumping, not the king. So that's why always use your king first and then the rook. Even if you are playing an offline game or you are playing in a tournament, make sure you are using your king first and then you are moving your rook. It is a rule, you must follow it. The second condition for the castling is the king and the rook, they must be unused. Let's say I played my king, opponent did castling, and I am going back to original place. After some random move, I am trying to do castling, but it's not working. Why it is not working? Because my king is already used. It doesn't matter even if I put that king on the original place, but still it is already used. So used king cannot do castling. What if my king is unused and my rook is used? Let's say this is a position and I am playing my rook. He did castling. I am keeping the rook back and he played any random. Now I am trying to do castling. Still it is not working. Why? Because the right side rook is already used. But my king and the rook on the left side, they are unused. So yes, I can do castling with the left side rook, or I can do castling on the long side. So remember, if your piece is already used, you cannot do castling. The king and the rook, they must be unused for the castling. Let's see the third condition, the third rule. The third condition is, whenever you are doing castling, make sure your king is safe. If your king is already in check, he is in danger, then you cannot do castling. You can see the queen is trying to capture my king. My king is in danger, and now if I want to do castling here, it won't allow me. See, doesn't matter where I'm going, I cannot do castling. So what you can do here? You can save your king first. Without moving the king, you have to save your king, because you already know that if you move your king, you cannot do castling anymore. We need unused pieces. So I block the check, I block the attack with the pawn, and now let him play his move. Now it is up to you where you want to do castling. You can go on the short side or on the long side. Doesn't matter where you want to do castling, it is totally your choice. And the same thing goes with the opponent king. Let's say this is a position. I'm giving check to the opponent king. You can see the knight is moving to a half square and he's giving check to the opponent king. An opponent is trying to do castling here. It won't work. Why? Because that king is in check. So whenever king is in check, he cannot do castling. That is our third condition. Let's see the fourth condition. The fourth condition is, if we want to do castling, then we need to make sure the path is safe for the king. For example, if I want to go for the short side castling, I will make sure that these two squares, they are completely safe. Nobody is attacking those squares. If someone is attacking one of these squares, I cannot do castling. Right now, you can see the bishop is attacking this square. And if this square is already under attack, that means my king cannot cross that danger square. It is not possible to do castling here because of this bishop attack. What if I want to do long side castling? That is also not possible because the other bishop is already attacking the landing square for the king. When I will move my king 2 square, he is going to land on the c1 square, which is not safe. Even if I am trying for a castling, it will not allow me, because if I am moving my king on this c1 square, the bishop will be already attacking there. And you already know that I cannot keep my king in danger, or I cannot put my king in danger. So that's why castling is not possible in this condition. Now you already learned about the castling rule. Let's talk about the second important rule, which is the pawn promotion. Pawn promotion, it is a special move that pawn has. You can say the pawn has a special power, and the power is, if the pawn reaches in the last square, then you can replace that pawn with any other piece except the king and pawn itself. So let's see the example. If I push this pawn in the last square, I can replace that pawn, or I can say the pawn will get promotion. That pawn can turn into any other piece. The pawn can become a queen, knight, rook or bishop. So you can choose any options here. Let's say I choose a queen, and you can see on the place of the pawn I got the queen. What if one more pawn reach in the last square? Then just again you will get same option. Your pawn reach in the last square, that means again you will get 4 options. You can again choose a queen, knight, rook or the bishop to play a game. So yes, you can choose one more piece, same exactly like a queen, and just you can play with 2 queens also. So remember, this is a special power that pawn has. Every time whenever your pawn will reach in the last square, you will get the 4 option, and you can choose any piece and you can replace that pawn with the other pieces. This is a special power that pawn has, and we call this pawn promotion. We just learned about the pawn promotion. Now let's see the third important rule. We call that en passant. You know the basic of pawns, like pawn can move forward, pawn can capture one step diagonally, and pawn cannot go backward. Now this special move, it's all about capturing the opponent pawn. You know that if the opponent pawn goes one step down, then yes, I can capture his pawn, and this is a normal rule of capturing a pawn. But what if the opponent pawn is moving 2 steps? Then can I capture this pawn? So yes, I can capture this pawn by moving my pawn 1 step cross like this, and this is what we call en passant. It is a special move, or let's say the special power that pawn has. But to use this special power, you need to follow some rules and conditions. So let's see all those rules and conditions to play this en passant rule. The first rule is, make sure your pawn is already in the 5th line. You can count the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My pawn is already standing in the 5th line. So yes, your pawn need to stand in the 5th line, and opponent pawn must go 2 steps. If opponent pawn is going 2 steps, then yes, you can use en passant. But what if opponent pawn is going one step forward, you ignore the capture, and then again he is going one step forward? Then you cannot capture pawn like that. See, you cannot capture the pawn. Why it's not working? Because opponent gave you a chance to capture a pawn, it went one step forward and then one step forward. It's not using two-step move directly. Remember, opponent pawn need to go two-step, then only I can use the en passant, otherwise I cannot do that. You can use this rule on the both sides of the board. It's not necessary that pawn must go two-step on the left side only. No, if the right side pawn is also going two-step, still I can go one step cross and I can capture their pawn. This is also possible. Now look at this position. Here we are playing as a black and black want to use the en passant. So what I will do, I will make sure my pawn is standing in the fifth line. So I will just count the square 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I already have a pawn in the fifth, and if opponent pawn is moving two step directly, then yes, I can go one step cross and I will capture this pawn, and this is what we call en passant. Remember, to use this rule, your pawn supposed to stand in the fifth line. Once you confirm that you have a pawn in the fifth, then if opponent is moving his pawn two step, then yes, you can capture his pawn by using the en passant rule. If opponent is using this pawn two step, you cannot go two step cross like this, because this is not the nature of the pawn. This is not how pawn captures. Pawn captures only one step diagonally. So yes, we can hope that opponent will play this pawn and then only we will be able to use en passant. I hope you understood all these three important rules. If you have any doubt, you can write the question in the comment section. I will try to give answer to all those questions.